This is VOA Africa.
Hello, I'm Esther Githui-Ewart. It's Wednesday, June 9th. Welcome to Africa 54. We continue to work remotely because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But what hasn't changed is our commitment to bringing you the latest and most important news from the African continent and around the world. Here is today's Africa 54. We begin our broadcast in South Africa, where President Cyril Ramaphosa has put his Minister of Health, Zweli Mkhize, on special leave amid allegations his department irregularly awarded COVID-19 related contracts to a company controlled by his former associates. David Doyle has the details.
South Africa's health minister was placed on special leave on Tuesday amid allegations of corruption linked to COVID-19 related contracts. Zweli Mkhize's department is accused of irregularly awarding the contracts to a communications company controlled by his former associates. It's the latest in a series of corruption allegations linked to coronavirus-related tenders that have caused public outrage. President Cyril Ramaphosa has vowed that corruption during the pandemic will be dealt with harshly. Ramaphosa's office said special leave would allow the minister to attend to allegations and investigations concerning the contracts. Before that statement, Mkhize apologised for the public rage over the allegations. South Africa's Minister of Tourism, Mameloko Kubayi-Gubane, will serve as acting Minister of Health until further notice.
David Doyle of Reuters with that report. A Ghanaian court has denied bail to 21 gay rights activists who were arrested 3 weeks ago for what police in the West African country described as an unlawful gathering. Africa 54 Managing Editor Vincent Makori explains.
A Ghanaian court on Tuesday denied bail to 21 gay rights activists, according to their lawyer. The 16 women and 5 men were arrested around 3 weeks ago for what police describe as an unlawful gathering. LGBT people face widespread persecution in the West African nation. Gay sex is punishable with up to 3 years in prison. Ghana has not prosecuted anyone for same-sex relations for some time, but the LGBT community has reported a crackdown by authorities in recent months. The 21 activists were arrested on May 20th at a hotel, a police statement said at the time. It accused them of advocating LGBT activities with books and flyers with titles including Coming Out and All About Trans. The organization LGBT Plus Rights Ghana said there was no lawful reason for the arrests and that the activists had been at a workshop on how to document and report human rights violations. At a previous hearing on Friday, LGBT Plus Rights Ghana's director Alex Donko had this to say.
When it comes to sex, I believe that every person has sex and they have it in the privacy of their room. Yes, and so there is no way people should target other Ghanaians because of their known or perceived gender identity or sexual orientation. That is unfair. I believe that is unconstitutional and it's an abuse that we are facing on a daily basis. And that is what we are talking about, and that is what we are hoping that the government and every Ghanaian will come to that understanding, because this affects everyone.
The activists had previously been denied bail at the High Court in the southeastern City Hall and had taken their application to the Circuit Court. They had been told to appear in court on June the 16th for their next hearing.
That was Africa 54 Managing Editor Vincent Makori reporting. Democratic Republic of Congo began a phased return Tuesday of residents of Goma, the eastern city hit by a volcanic eruption last month. Soraya Ali has the details.
Mount Nyiragongo erupted on May 22nd, killing at least 31 people and wiping out villages as a river of lava flowed towards Goma. It stopped just short of the city limits, but less than a week later, some 400,000 people scrambled to leave. That was after the government warned underground tremors could cause a new eruption or trigger the release of toxic gases. The tremors have since subsided and many have returned to Goma. Around 245,000 remain displaced, according to the International Organization for Migration. Nyiragongo is one of the world's most active and dangerous volcanoes, and the last eruption in 2002 killed more than 200 people. Prime Minister Jean-Michel Sama-Lukonde said lessons had to be learned from 2002 and 2021, and sites on the outskirts of Goma that were destroyed should no longer be inhabited. According to the government, people made homeless would be temporarily rehoused and given assistance to rebuild.
Soraya Ali of Reuters filed that report. Almost 200 Nigerians filed a lawsuit on Tuesday seeking to lift a ban on Twitter, describing the government's decision to block the site as stifling any dissenting voice and digital rights. The ban was announced on Friday, 2 days after the social media giant removed a post from President Muhammadu Buhari that threatened to punish regional secessionists, and the government said those who continued to use Twitter would be prosecuted. Nigeria joins the ranks of China, North Korea, and Iran in issuing a ban on Twitter, while Uganda, Turkey, and Egypt have suspended the app during elections or political unrest. Information Minister Lai Mohammed told Thomson Reuters Foundation that the suspension had nothing to do with Buhari's tweet being deleted, but rather with separatists inciting violence online. An outcry continues over the decision by the government to suspend Twitter, the popular social media platform used by millions of people in Africa's most populous nation. The US and the European Union are joining a chorus of voices calling for the reversal of the highly controversial ban, which came a day after the social media giant deleted a tweet from President Buhari's account for violating its rules. Japheth Omojuwa, a Nigerian writer and socio-political commentator with over 1 million followers on Twitter. VOA's Jackson Vunganyi reached him in Abuja to talk about the reaction by Nigerians and the impact the act on the ban will have on the country.
I think it's been coming. By the way, good to see you. It's been a while, actually. But this has been coming. As at 6-7 years ago, we've been battling different forms of attempts at gagging social media. Some of those laws were actually outrightly anti-social media laws. Some of them were hidden inside other laws that did not outrightly mention the word social media, like frivolous bills and other petitions, for instance. And after that, I think it came to a head in 2020 when social media proved very, very influential during the NSAS movement in the latter part of 2020. And the government did pay extra attention to the power of social media and what people are able to do with it. Then another turning point definitely was when 3 days ago, Twitter deleted President Buhari's tweets, and the government didn't like that at all. And I don't think, I was shocked, really. I'm still kind of shocked, but nobody would be surprised that after that, that the action of suspending Twitter in Nigeria and the fact that Twitter deleted the president's tweet is not difficult to see a correlational and causative effect for both actions.
So the original tweet was not sent out by the president himself. It was part of a speech that he gave. Who tweeted it out?
It was from the president's handle. And these tweets were posted before the video came out. So in fact, before the video came out, there was a lot of accusation being thrown at specific handlers of the president, different men in his team that are spokespeople of the president, the senior ones and the younger ones. And so it was an assumption that they're not handling this guy well. Like, why would they even post something like that? And then a video came out where the president was using exact words, but a fair person would say that it was more nuanced in the video because there was a full pause between the reference to the Biafra war and what he intended to do to those that are making trouble today. But in the tweet, it looked like he packed everyone in the southeast of Nigeria together, and that's a very, very big difference.
So something was lost in translation between the
for sure, without a question. For instance, the president's people could easily defend the video and say, look, this is what was being said, this was what was being intended. But I don't think they can defend the tweet standing alone. standing alone, it's almost impossible to defend a tweet standing alone.
Now, is Buhari a prolific Twitter user himself?
Between you and I don't think Buhari has ever tweeted himself before, maybe except for a perfunctory tweet before, during the elections. I think his page is 100% being managed by his team. I don't think Buhari tweets by himself. I don't think so. I may be wrong, but I don't think so.
And how popular is Twitter in Nigeria? And what have
extremely popular, massively popular. Twitter is massively popular. Twitter may not win you elections, but it affects your perception as a public servant. Twitter doesn't have as many people as Facebook in Nigeria, but the opinions that get shared on Twitter, the messages, the stories that fly from Twitter, they go into other platforms, including Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and eventually even to the conventional media space, radio and TV. So Twitter is such a powerful platform. And as you can see, the Twitter ban is in virtually every news network, is the biggest conversation in Nigeria as we speak, even though there are far more important issues. I'm not saying that this is not an important issue, but with hundreds of people being kidnapped and people being killed, you would agree with me that ordinarily this should be far more important, without saying that this particular issue is not important.
And what has been the reaction around the country so far?
I mean, it's been shock, it's been disappointment, it's been a lot of anger. It's been a lot of people, by the way, I should also say a lot of people castigating people for voting Buhari in the first place. So there's been a lot of I told you so and blah, blah, blah. You know, whether you agree with what is being done, this is actually what has happened. I have been on the receiving end of that myself, even though my support was in 2015, 6 years ago. A democratic right, by the way, but I've been called names, all sort of names today, just on account of, making that choice. So there's been a lot of that. There's also been a lot of genuine, smart strategic conversation in terms of how the government should better deal with issues like this. You could have directly engaged Twitter on this matter without suspending the platform, because in suspending the platform, you've removed your own people from the platform. You've affected their way, directly and indirectly, their way to earning their livelihood and resource. Twitter is used for loads of things in Nigeria. It is for emergency. The NCDC that communicates COVID numbers was not able to communicate that. A lot of people use Twitter to raise money for health reasons. There's a lot of people that use Twitter to raise money for school fees. Lots of people use Twitter directly for their businesses. The banks cannot tweet, for instance. Other organizations, corporates, public, private cannot tweet. So it's an entire shutdown of more or less a market space. That
was VOA's Jackson Bunganyi speaking to Japheth Omojua, a Nigerian writer and social political commentator in Abuja, Nigeria. Would like to hear what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the discussion on Facebook. Our address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, a Tunisian tech company seeks to transform the country's education landscape. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Africa 54. In our tech news, a Tunis-based education company, Goma, is changing the education landscape in the North African country. Their goal is to train the next generation of technology entrepreneurs on the most innovative and recent technologies and connect them with tech opportunities worldwide. For more perspective, Africa 54's Paul Ndiho via Skype spoke to Rahma Hamami, Chief Marketing Officer, Goma in Tunis, Tunisia.
Rahma Hamami, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you for the invitation.
You work for an edutech firm in Tunis. Maybe bring me up to speed. What is Goma all about?
Goma is a NetTech startup. We also call ourselves as an educational platform because Goma is actually a pretty unique school, and I don't really like the term of school, but I would rather to prefer the educational platform term. But we are here actually to assist students and to assist even graduates to get skill sets, digital and technical skill sets that they didn't get in their traditional courses and in their traditional curriculum. For example, we talk about web development, we talk about artificial intelligence, which is pretty trendy right now. We talk about DevOps, we talk also about digital marketing and UX and UI design. So all of these technical skills, all of these digital skills that are not yet taught in the traditional schools and universities, we try to offer them to our audience. So they can be kids, they can be teenagers, they can be students or graduates, and actually to get them ready to face the revolution of the world of the field of the technology, and to get ready actually to get hired afterwards in their professional life.
What's so unique about a Goma?
The first thing and the main thing that is unique about us is our methodology. So Goma brought to Tunisia a new way of learning. We have a whole disruptive method. We have the platform, we have the community, and we have the instructor. So these are three main parts in our methodology. The platform is actually accessible from anywhere and anytime. So the students, when they are home or when they have some free time, they just go online on the platform. They check the course. They do their checkpoints that they have on the platform. They do their exercises. They do the quizzes. So they do everything that is in the platform. And once they come over to the hackerspace, they get in touch with their instructor. They will also find the third part, which is the community, and they will get in touch with each other in order to create projects, to exchange knowledge. Because you see, in coding, there's no right way of coding. I mean, you can find a solution in like 100 lines of code, and you can find it in 2 lines of code. So they exchange their tips, they exchange their new knowledge. And this whole method, this whole atmosphere that we try also to keep online using, of course, online tools. This is what makes Goma so unique.
How many people would you say have benefited from some of the training programs you have?
In Tunisia, we trained more than 10,000 students now. So we've been operating for more than 4 years now. We just started our activity in other countries, so Egypt, Bahrain, Côte d'Ivoire, Morocco, Senegal, and Nigeria, and we just had our first cohorts there. So yeah.
Are there some people who have gone through your programs and now they're doing very, very well wherever they are?
In Tunisia, now we have a rate of 85% of our students. They are getting hired after having followed the training at Goma and each one of those students is actually a success story for Goma because most of our students, they join Goma because they are either passionate with technology and they just want to live their passion to get some new knowledge, or they want to get a job or to switch from their actual job if they are not being fulfilled by what they are doing. So for us, allowing them to live their dream, allowing them to have maybe also a decent, a decent way of life, because if they are unemployed and we allow them to get a job, for us that's a huge achievement.
Do you need particular skills for anybody to come there?
I love actually this question because when joining the Goma team, I had the same apprehension. Do you have to be a geek to join Goma Code, whether as a student or as a team member. Actually, no. Most of our courses, they are made for beginners, for people who don't know anything about technology. For example, let's say I work in finance and I want to become a web developer. I do not have to gain any skills in technology before joining Goma Code. You see, the instructors will make everything basic for us. The course on the platform is pretty. I mean, it is rich, and it starts with the basics of the concerned technology, and of course, step by step, we go further and we go deeper into things.
Thank you so much, Rama.
Thank you.
That was Africa 54's tech correspondent Paul Diho speaking to Rahma Hamami, Chief Marketing Officer, Goma Code in Tunis, Tunisia. President Joe Biden is heading to the United Kingdom and Europe on his first trip abroad, sending a signal that his administration values close transatlantic relationships as it deals with challenges like emerging from the COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, and threats from China and Russia. VOA senior diplomatic correspondent Cindy Sain reports.
On Monday, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg visited the White House, where he said President Joe Biden will be welcomed in Europe with open arms.
No other major power has so many friends and allies as the United States has in NATO. So I look forward to welcoming President Biden to Brussels.
The White House says Biden wants to work closely with America's Democratic allies in the United Kingdom and Europe to face challenges such as threats and unfair competition from Russia and China.
At the US-EU summit, the President and European Union leaders will focus on aligning our approaches to trade and technology so that democracies, and not anyone else, not China or other autocracies, are writing the rules for trade and technology for the 21st century.
But foreign policy expert Brian Katulis says that regarding China, America's interests may not align with those of its European allies.
Countries looking at the rise of China and its growth in the economy, looking at its technology and what it has to offer, and looking for ways to maintain ties with the United States, but also build ties with China. So countries like Germany, I think, will continue to hedge in a certain extent, not see eye to eye entirely with the United States.
Katulis says Biden will seek to highlight the common values that the United States and Europe share and that Russia and China do not.
This is his first trip as U.S. president, and I think going to the other center of sort of global democracies, Europe, is an important feature of this. And the multilateral meetings are important, but then some of the key bilateral meetings to watch, I think, would be the ones with UK Prime Minister, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, as well as the Turkish leader Erdogan.
Biden's first talks will be with British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, host of the G7 summit. Then he heads to Brussels for EU and NATO summits, leading up to talks next week in Geneva with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He has promised to pressure both China and Russia on human rights abuses. Mark Simakovsky is with the Atlantic Council.
So Biden and the administration want to showcase that America is back and that we can build back together to counter some of the most significant challenges that we face globally, like climate change, like COVID response, like dealing with great power competition with Russia and China. So this administration, I think, knows it needs allies.
Simakovsky and other experts say the U.S. is now entering a new phase on COVID-19, where it is turning its attention to helping the rest of the world come out of the deadly pandemic by sharing life-saving vaccines. Cindy Sain, VOA News.
The African Athletics Championships have been cancelled because of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Confederation of African Athletics, this is a major blow to those hoping to use the event to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics. The event was scheduled for Lagos later this month after Nigeria had stepped in at a last moment to replace Algeria as hosts. There are no other plans for meeting to allow athletes to obtain the required qualification standards for next month's Tokyo Games. Travel restrictions also make it difficult for athletes to go to meetings in Europe. Seaside Aqua fitness workout isn't just about exercise, water, sun, and sea breezes. It is also a way to recover from injury and to find camaraderie. as Alison Lekogo-Fernandez and Bayadia discover in this report from Senegal.
It's 7:30 in the morning on Dakar's Gore Beach. A few meters from shore, nearly 24 people clutch pool noodles, working out in water that's a chilly 20 degrees Celsius. It's part of the Dolphin Club's Aqua gym, which also includes exercise on the beach. Doyle comes here 4 days a week before heading to work.
At first, I was a little skeptical because it was cold, it was winter. Once I came, I gave up all the other sports. Now I'm only doing water aerobics.
Aqua gym has many virtues. It helps build strength and improves circulation. And its low impact is easy on joints, encouraging recovery from injury or illness.
We have people from 7 to 90 years old. We have grandfathers and grandmothers who come to keep in shape or who have minor ailments. They come especially in summer when the water temperature is more acceptable.
Dr. Nganbai suffered a stroke almost a year ago, impairing his balance and speech. But after the 61-year-old pediatrician discovered Aqua gym, he made tremendous progress.
At first, it was difficult to walk. Now, I walk independently and have even started driving my car again.
After a month in bed, the Dolphin Club's Aqua gym classes allowed him to meet new people, including some who have gone through similar ordeals. 70-year-old Ibrahima Sonko also had suffered a stroke. He is among individuals with reduced mobility who are trained by coach Alassane Samb.
Before, nothing was moving. Now it's okay. All the joints are responding. He's doing much better. Before, he didn't speak. Now he can speak. We thank the good God.
Participation in the Dolphin Club is much less expensive than in private pools in Senegal, costing 10,000 CFA francs or less than $20 a month. Classes 6 days a week benefit the able-bodied as well as individuals with more challenges. Alison Lekogo-Fernandez for VOA News, Dakar, Senegal.
And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, we thank you for watching.
Join us on the next Straight Talk Africa. We're going to talk about Africans working abroad. Now, as economies around the world prepare to open after multiple lockdowns, will Africans be looking for jobs overseas again? And we'll bring you the stories of young people who chase their dreams abroad and their words of caution to others. We'll also take a closer look at what international migration will look like after the pandemic. Join us right here on the next Straight Talk Africa.